Alright all, like the title suggests, in today's video we're going to be doing an unboxing and overview. We have the Fractal Design Celsius Plus S28 Prisma AIO. Let me roll an intro and we'll get into the video. Alright all, like I said in the intro and the title suggests, today we're going to be doing an unboxing and overview of the Fractal Design Celsius Plus S28 Prisma AIO. What is an AIO? An AIO is an all-in-one water cooling solution for your CPU, for your processor in your computer. It helps keep your processor a little bit cooler than what typical air coolers do, supposedly. But we're going to take a look at this thing today. We're going to run down through the specs of it. We're going to do an unboxing of it, see what all comes in the package, make sure I got everything that I need to, that I should have got with it, if I can install it. We're going to see what kind of build quality it's got and whatnot like that. Let's go ahead and run down through the specs over here to get started with. Here we are, guys. We're on Newegg. We have, it is built by Fractal Design. It is the Celsius Plus. It is a liquid water cooler. The CPUs that it works with is for Intel, you have the LG A2060, the 2011-3, the 2011, the 1366, the 1200, the 1156, the 1155, the 1151, and the 1150. For your AMD users out there, like what I'm going to be installing it on, is the AMD TR4, which is your Threadripper builds. You got the AM4, the AM3 Plus, the AM3, the AM2 Plus, the AM2, the FM2 Plus, the FM2, and the FM1. Pretty well, it's pretty compatible with any socket that you get out there that you have that's, you know, it came out for Intel or AMD in the last 10 years or so. The block dimensions is 86 by 75 millimeters. It is a copper block. The pump bearings in it is ceramic. Radiator dimension, this is on the 280 millimeter that I have here today. It's 143 by 30 by 324 millimeter. They do come with aluminum radiators. Depending on which ones you've got, they do come with appropriate fans. Like I said, this is the 280 or the S28. We have the two 140 millimeter fans. They're 140 by 140 by 25 millimeters. They do have the long life sleeve bearing type in them. The RPMs is 500 to 1750 RPMs. The airflow of these fans is 103.9 CFMs. The sound that they got listed is 34.1 dBA. They are a 4-pin fan, which means they are a PMW fan. They do have addressable RGB. And the tubing on these is 400 millimeters long. It is a rubber with a nylon braided sleeve. The nylon braided sleeves just for an aesthetic thing, you know, it makes it look a little bit better than just the old rubber tubing showing, which is kind of nice. Now let's see if this is true or not. It says the pack contains the S28 unit, two 140 millimeter fans, the user manual, the mounting hardware for all the listed sockets above, the fan and radiator mounting screws, and it is still a fairly new product. It was released on April the 8th of 2020. The Celsius Plus Prisma comes in 3 different sizes. You have the S24 Prisma, which is a 240 millimeter. You have the Celsius Plus S28 Prisma, which is what I have here today. It's the 280 variants, 280 millimeter variants. Then you have the big boy down here, which is the Celsius Plus, the S360 Prisma, which is 360 millimeter. And like I mentioned, each one of them will come with the right amount of fans that you need for the radiator itself. Alright guys, now since we went down the specs of this thing, we're going to do the unboxing of it. And I'm going to tell you what I think of the build quality of it and whatnot. And we're going to go through some of the features that it has once we get out of the box here. Let's get into that unboxing, and then I'll be back with my conclusion to the video. Alright guys, here we are. We're in the box. I done took the saran wrap off the box. So let's get this thing out of the box and see what it comes with. Open up the end packaging here, just like so. Pull it out of the box, and that box is empty down through there. Box is empty. So everything you got, everything you need is in this nice little container here. First thing first, we do have a user's guide. Ain't that pretty? That's nice of them to include that. There we go, the user guide. We may need that for this thing. And here is the fans that come with it. Pretty nice looking fans. Looks like they should do pretty good for static with the way the fan design is on them. Seem to be pretty sturdy fans, which they should be. Fractal does a pretty good job with fans. Here's the AM4 accessory kit. Here's the AM4 accessory kit. It should have all your brackets and all the screws that you need in it. We'll get into that here in a little bit. Let's get the radiator and the pump unit up out of the container here. And once we take that out, that carton is empty, so we can be thrown to the side. All right, there we go. Take the bag off the radiator. Whoops. Take the bag off the radiator, and we'll take the second bag off of the pump itself. Oh. That thing ain't held on there very well. Alright, by looking at it, and it looks like the radiator's got pretty good density to it. Looks like a pretty good radiator. You can see through it somewhat. Not too bad. Looks like all the fins is in pretty good condition. There we go. Right up here is where your fans will connect to the fan headers. And the RGB headers down here. Which these wires actually run into the tubing between the rubber and the braided nylon tubing, and run down to connect to your water pump, down to the pump part of it, which is pretty nice, which means you're only going to have two cables. You'll have the cable for your PMW fans, or your pump header, and you'll have one fan coming off your pump for the ARGB. So it's going to ease, hopefully it'll ease up the cable management something like this. Looks like you have one ARGB connector up here, and you got enough PMW fan headers here for 3 fans, but they probably just use that for all 3 models of it, which this is only going to have 2 fans to, because it's 280 millimeter. The 240 will have 2 fans to it, but the 360 is going to take 3 fans. So I figure that's why they give you the 3 fans. Or maybe if you want to hook up your back fan on the back of your case, your exhaust fan. Also, if you're going to put this on top, maybe you want to connect that back fan to this to also run off the pump header. It's pretty nice. It's got pretty nice tubing to it. Seems to be pretty flexible tubing. And like I said, you know, a nylon braided overlay on it makes it pretty nice, and they can hide the cables in the hoses. That way it frees up some of the cable clutter. And you got your round copper heat sink for your CPU. Looks like it's the Intel bracket that's pre-mounted on it. Looks like they give you enough thermal paste to do the job. You got a little piece of protective coating over top of the face of it, of course, so we'll peel that off. Nice satisfying peel. And it does have an auto and PMW setting on it. You just turn the knob on top of the pump unit to go from auto to PMW. With the way I'm understanding, the auto will give you less noise, but it won't cool quite as good. If you go to PMW, your fans will wrap up a little bit more, but it gives you better cooling. Which we'll test that after we get it installed, and we'll play around with that a little bit whenever I do the install with this thing. It seems like a hard plastic, or a rubberized plastic. Seems like it's pretty well built. It does have the Fractal Design logo on it. It's supposed to have 6 ARGB ring lights on it for your lighting solution on it, which should light it up pretty nice. Looks like you got a nice braided cable here for your PMW fan that's already connected. Right there's your connector for your ARGB lighting. That way you can control the ARGB on the pump head and on the fans both. Okay, and the accessory kit, let's see what we get here. Okay, looks like we got a couple little clips here, a couple little plastic clips here for your cable management. It's pretty nice that they include them. They think about cable management. That would be the plug that you need on the pump for your ARGB. Gotta have that. AM4, that must be for the AM4 screw. What it looks like. Be able to mount it to your AM4 mount. You got some standoffs and some thumb screws there. I'm going to say that's going to be for your Intel installs. Then you got quite a few long screws and shorter screws for your to mount your fans and to mount it to the case. That looks like the bracket that you need for the AM4 mounting bracket, which we'll have to change that out because I am running an AMD system. And it looks like they also include an Intel backplate for it. So that's pretty well wraps it up for the accessories that come with it. I think they give you a pretty wide range of accessories. Now, since I went through the unboxing of it and showed you everything that comes in it, and went down through the specs of it for you, let me get reset up here, and I'll come up with the conclusion to the video and what I think of the product. I'll be right back. Alright, I went down through the specs of this unit for you. Also did the unboxing, showed you what all comes with this. There's a few things I think that I should mention about this unit. Number one, the ARGB. It is compatible with all your major motherboard lighting. You know, you got your Asus Aura, you got your Gigabyte Fusion, you got your MSI Mystic Light, you got your ASRock Polychrome, I guess is the way you pronounce that. You know, it does work with all your lighting software from your motherboard, which is kind of a good thing because there's no additional software you need to download to operate this thing. You can always go into your BIOS, you can set the fan curve the way you want for your pump if you like. You know, so, and it's got that little switch on it that goes from auto to PMW, you know, depending on if noise is more of a factor for you or if better cooling is more up your line. You know, I kind of like that. You know, you have less software, which is always a good thing. You know, everything has its own software and whatnot. It's kind of nice that this thing don't add all that to you. You don't have to go to the website and download any other software. Number two is it is ARGB, which most of these things do have ARGB to them. So keep that in mind. You know, make sure your motherboard has the 3-pin ARGB header. If it don't, you may have to operate some other way besides your motherboard software, or if you have an RGB header, not an ARGB header on your motherboard like me, Deepcool does have a conversion box out that converts a 4-pin RGB into an ARGB 3-pin, which is an option if you want to go that route. It does add a little bit more expense to the setup. You know, I think I paid about $30 for that conversion box for mine. And number three, you know, a fan header and ARGB hub that's attached to the radiator. I think that's a pretty smart decision on Fractal design. You know, it keeps it nice and clean. You know, does away with a lot of the cable management. Speaking of the cable management on this thing, you know, as you've seen on the pump, whenever we was looking at the pump on it, your PMW fan comes off of one side of the pump, and your ARGB wire comes off the other side of the pump or the underneath side of the pump. You know, I think they should have put them a little bit closer together. It'd been nice to have them side by side. That way, you know, you could kind of strap them together and run them that way. That way it makes the cable management better, because they do add them little plastic brackets for keep your wiring close to your radiator and keep it hid. You know, that'd have been nice. You know, maybe Fractal Design on the next version of this thing will think about that a little bit better if it's possible to move them over. Number two, you know, number three, number four. My next point would be the tubing on this thing. You know, it is rubberized tubing on the inside. It's got that nice nylon braided tubing on the outside, which has the wires. You know, kind of helps with the cable management, which I mentioned. You know, makes it nice. It seems to be a little bit thicker than most AIOs, which is a good thing. You know, you definitely don't want this thing leaking in your system or whatnot. As far as the longevity of this thing, I'm not too sure. You know, that's why I don't call these things reviews, because they actually have a review. You need to be able to use it for some time. So I don't like calling these things review, because by the time a year or so passes, they're going to be hard to find, or new ones are going to come out. You know, they'll have new designs of them coming out. So I don't really like calling these things reviews. But I think this thing's pretty well right on point. Another point is with this, if you want one that monitors your temperatures and whatnot, this don't have that. You do have the 6 RGB lighting around the ring of it, but that's basically it. You got the little fractal design. If you want something a little bit fancier, you want something that monitors your temperatures and all that, this thing don't do that. So you can't change the display on it or anything like that, which it may be a deal breaker to you, may not. To me, it ain't that big of a deal to me myself personally. But that's something to keep in mind. If you want that to showcase your temperatures, or you want to put some kind of little GIF in there or something, it ain't possible with this, which is a good thing, or it could be a bad thing, which, going back to point number one, it's less software you got to download, which, in my opinion, it's always good not to have to download another piece of software to operate this thing. But that's something to keep in mind, and it may affect your buying decision. Should you buy one of these? It seems like it's well built. I haven't used it yet. I haven't got to install it yet or nothing like that. Do some more research, see what else you can find out. This thing's been out for quite a few months. I'm sure there's other people out there that's got it installed and been using it for a while. Maybe they can give you a better opinion on if it's really worth the money. I mean, the 280 millimeter with the ARGB that like I've got is about $176 or so right now at the time that I'm making this video anyways. Which that will fluctuate depending on when you're watching this video and what happens within the AIO industry. But with all that being said, in this video, I didn't cover the install of it. I'm going to be doing a separate video on the install of how to install this thing and how to run the ARGB lighting and the fans and all that, which I've got a couple RGB strips, and I also got a couple more of the 120 millimeter fans I'm going to be adding to my case. And I'm going to be doing a video on ARGB and RGB. And then I got the install of this thing and the testing of this thing that I'm going to be bringing up on the channel. So make sure you go down there and hit that sub button if you'd like to watch them videos when they come live. Don't forget to hit that like button. There's that comment section below. I go through them every weekend on my live show. I do a live stream every weekend, Saturday morning, or Saturday evening now, at 5 p.m. on Saturday Eastern Standard Time here in the U.S. And also, if you'd like to, and you're on the other social media platforms, I am also on Twitter and Instagram. I don't kill your inbox, but I do show products and whatnot as I get them coming in. And all the products here on the channel is bought by me. So they do come in pretty slowly, but you don't have to worry about me giving you a paid opinion either. All my opinions are my own. I buy everything myself. So I give you an honest opinion on what I think of a product, which is a good thing. But as far as Instagram and Twitter goes, I put up videos, I put up pictures of stuff that's came in over the last week or so or whatever. So you can come over there and follow me if that's something you'd be interested in. And with all that being said, you all have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video or live stream.